All right, folks, welcome back to the second match of our doubleheader tonight here on GG Speedruns. We have got another elimination showdown, a very tight matchup between our number 13 seed SpaceColonizer and our number 12 seed Firebroth. Now, before we get into this matchup, I do want to give some shout outs here to a couple of players who've gotten some new PBs in the last couple of days. We have J-Pop for Life getting a 538 and Johnny Link getting a 542. So GG's to both of those runners for improving their times on the Smash TV Easy Percent leaderboard. And we have a guest here in our commentators booth. Joining me in the commentators booth for our second match of the night, we've got our very own Mr. Dino.
Hey there, LOC, and wow, 542 and 538. That's just insane. How times keep getting lower and lower, and more people keep getting them. I remember back in the day, top 10, you didn't even need a sub 6 to get a top 10. Now you're like 20 something with a 542, I think.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, we have 18 members who are in the sub 540 club now, and we have a total of 34 members in that sub 6 club. So you're absolutely right there. Now, speaking of times here, very close between our two runners. Firebroth, who has a 539 as their PB, which they got 4 weeks ago, and you've got SpaceColonizer, who has a 545, but they have not gotten a PB yet this season. So perhaps that might change here tonight. Big match here because, as I mentioned, this is an elimination match. The winner will move on to take on the number 8 seed, Hefeman 82, in the 4th round of our second chance bracket. The loser will be out. Very interesting matchup here. The 12 and 13 seed should be a good one, Mr. Dino.
Oh, very interesting indeed, and I'm pretty much looking forward to these. Firebroth has always been like a pretty good, I think he's got pretty good showings ever since he started in the tournaments. I think he's just like almost there to just get a breakthrough and get an amazing placing here. And SpaceColonizer, more experience than Firebroth, so this is gonna definitely be interesting. 12 and 13, you cannot get any closer than that.
Oh, not at all. And both these runners are rearing to go. I'm going to count them down.
Right, so let's see. We also have a little bit of a D-pad and controller showing here for SpaceColonizer. That's going to be a little bit nice for those of you at home that might be wondering a little bit on how people get the middle in control. A little bit of showcasing on what's normally happening on one controller when playing Super Smash TV. Okay, so here we go. They're almost in sync, so I'm just gonna sing that little second here.
All right, very good indeed. So game number 1 between SpaceColonizer and Firebroth. It's anybody's guess who is going to take home this game. They both have the Razor Shield. We have SpaceCo and Firebroth utilizing the same strategy, at least at the start. We have SpaceCo staying on the top of the room. Firebroth started at the top of the room, then went back to the middle. Nuke here, if timed well, Firebroth can gain a little bit of advantage, as can SpaceCo, but his kill count kind of low, but does the job. Gets a good nuke right there. A very slight advantage for Firebroth with a high 40 versus about a mid 41. So about a half a second lead for Firebroth going into collect power-ups. Well-placed nuke there for both, though.
Absolutely right. I always like to see how people play the first room. I think it tells a lot about their general playstyle. And now we have a first drop orb for Firebroth. That's definitely what you want to see. Even if it's not on the best place, it's an orb, so that's what you want to see.
But not to be outdone too significantly, SpaceColonizer gets a second drop orb, so you love to see it. The equal opportunity drops. Spreader now for Firebroth. SpaceCo gets the Vitamin R, though, the best weapon.
Yeah, they should be pretty much like neck to neck right now, and indeed they are. Probably about almost a second for Firebroth going to eat my shrapnel, but now it's about a control of the room. But I don't expect any of these players to have any trouble with an orb into this room.
I agree. I think Firebroth gained about a quarter of a second. That's it. They are still pretty much neck and neck starting Eat My Shrapnel. 18 of the Mr. Shrapnels that must be taken down. Of course, a maximum of 4 can man the screen at any given point. Ideally, looking for a 42.5-second timer. Firebroth getting a good drop in the Vitamin R. SpaceCo going to ignore that Razor Shield. He's got the room under control as well.
Yeah, indeed. Normally, what you want to see is probably rockets at the very end, or like a spreader. I normally even prefer a spreader going into the next room.
SpaceCo had a much better closing and is able to cut the lead to about a quarter of a second. So rockets to start for SpaceCo, spreader for Firebroth, so both with good openers, but now back-to-back Vitamin R. Tough spot for SpaceCo, good grab.
Indeed, a good grab, and this is the very first room where we can see things getting a little bit crazier. Still not with as much spawn rate as Tank Trouble, but that's a nice grab. That was a very tough spot to grab that one.
That's twice there for SpaceCo. 4 rockets in the room for SpaceColonizer here. Save some for Tank Trouble. Holy smokes, the rockets flowing for SpaceColonizer. He should have the lead. Now, he did have to go a long ways to get to those rockets and couldn't get back to the middle, as Firebroth does get a late Razor Shield here in Total Carnage. But I think the rockets could be enough to give SpaceColonizer his first lead of the match. And indeed, well, wait just a minute. Yes, barely, but SpaceColonizer has flipped the script. He's now got about the half-second lead. As I'd say, it's time for, Taco Bell product placement with Taco Bell.
Let's go over product placement on the match. And it's been like just extremely close as we predicted. Like it's been just like a second back and forth. And now we go into Tank Trouble, and this is gonna be like a really, really important room for both in equal opportunity. No drops. Let's see what the first drop is, and rockets for SpaceColonizer.
Good drops for both, but the bigger advantage for SpaceCo is he gets more rockets. That is 6 rockets he has seen in the last 2 rooms, but rockets for Firebroth. So yeah, the equal opportunity drops. You definitely love to see it. And this is crazy. They both still have their orb. Now the drop's drying up for both, so now it's a matter of keeping control of the middle. Now more rockets for both. This is crazy. 7 rockets for SpaceCo in the last 2 rooms. Almost dropped the orb there, the Dino.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that, even if you have rockets. Oh, I thought he was gonna be used. And then a little mistake right there. Not gonna be able to try the ball buster, but still has the lead, and the lead actually increases now for SpaceColonizer.
All those rockets giving SpaceCo that lead, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Is not going to have an opportunity at the ball buster, but Firebroth does get the Mr. Shrapnel down just in time before the explosion to keep it under 10 seconds. And an empty drop to start for SpaceCo, not what you want to see. Now has some rockets. He'll focus on the gunners. Let's see what Firebroth ends up getting. He will have an opportunity to get a ball buster, 42% of a form damage if he can land the shot with that orb. And he gets picked off by the gunners, so no ball buster.
Yeah, not the best start for any of those players. Takes the gamble dead. It doesn't pay off, but still grenades. That's going to be good enough just to keep the DPS going.
Yeah, and a key for Firebroth means he is stalled. And good grab of the lobbers there. Very nicely done. What a vulnerability for SpaceCo after getting that spreader. Very nice. He'll be able to utilize this to the max. Very nice.
Yeah, that's a combo you want to see. He just takes it all the way down, as much damage as he could take with that invulnerability, and now it's about a couple forms lead right now.
Yeah, he got another spreader, but unfortunately he got run over, and that's kind of too bad, because if he would have been able to utilize it, he could have gotten a PB. But here comes a spreader for Firebroth.
Ooh, sabotage.
Yeah.
I mean, lovers are good, but you don't want to see them on your feet when you have invulnerability and spreader.
No, you don't. It's a full form lead right now for SpaceColonizer. Oh, he just got absolutely sped upon, and then he gets blocked. Can he get it? He does get the lobbers just in the nick of time to SpaceCo. He's going to keep that lead, but Firebroth is catching up. Final form for SpaceCo. It's anybody's game here. Grenades now for SpaceCo. The good DPS on the final form. Final form now for Firebroth, as he's got a full clip of lobbers here. Anybody's game at this point, but SpaceCo keeping the damage going. Is this enough to finish off the fight? It just is. SpaceColonizer hangs on, Dino. What a game.
Oh, what a game indeed. Firebroth was climbing back right there, little by little. A little bit too many deaths for SpaceColonizer, but it ends up doesn't mattering. SpaceCo takes game number 1. And just puts a point in the board right now for himself.
Yeah, just had a really good spreader, and he was about 10 seconds ahead going in. He ends up winning by about 10 seconds. So they've had very similar Mutoid Man fights there, but it is going to be SpaceColonizer with that spreader. Got the invulnerability when he had almost all of his spreader intact, was able to get all of that damage, got the Glitch Toy Man, and was able to hang on for a 10-second victory. So game number 1 to SpaceCo.
Yeah, pretty much all the game was extremely tied up. Like those 10 seconds came off from tank trouble with those rockets, but the rest of the rooms they were just pretty much equal for both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, SpaceCo had the rockets, lost the orb at the end, so he lost his opportunity at the ball buster. And then Firebroth, unfortunately, wasn't able to take advantage when he got picked off by the gunners. If he's able to get that ball buster, that would have been a very different story there, but it is what it is. So it is a best of 5, so Firebroth can catch up. We'll see if that happens in game number 2. I'll see if both of these runners are ready.
All right, sounds good. Well, we see the manipulation here being set up by both runners. For anybody that is new, what they're both doing is they just want to see that little bit of a cutscene on the demo play at the very start, and what that does is it manipulates the very first drop of the game, which is going to be a razor shield. That's pretty much the only drop that we know how to manipulate, so we take what we can get with this game.
Oh, we most certainly can indeed, because it seems like all of the RNG in this game is frame-based. It kind of reminds me of another game I used to speed run in Castlevania 2. Whether or not you would get those heart drops is all frame-based. When you kill that enemy, what frame it's on determines whether or not you get that heart. Well, we'll see if we can come up with some more manipulations down the road. But as it stands, you're absolutely right. That is the only manipulation that we know how to do at this point. Game number 2, here we go.
Yeah, they would start with a little bit of top strats. Now SpaceColonizer steps right there on the top. Firebroth goes with a little bit more classic approach, going back into the middle, using that razor shield to take down the the grunts from the doors that he's not shooting, and a little bit of a lead here for Firebroth.
Yeah, high 39 versus a mid 41, about a 1.5-second lead for Firebroth. SpaceCo did get a good nuke at the end to mitigate the time differential. Let's see what the first drop ends up being for both of our runners. It is Spreader for Firebroth, but an opening drop orb for SpaceCo, so we've seen both runners get a first drop orb here in this match.
Yeah, and that Spreader is gonna be able to help Firebroth keep afloat, but he wants to see either rockets or that orb. Otherwise, the lead is gonna start to climb up little by little. Not so much trouble if you don't get it on collect power-ups. You still have Eat My Shrapnel. It starts really becoming a big trouble if you don't get it by Total Carnage.
It's an 80-second time for SpaceCo, so very nicely done there. Was able to not only erase that deficit, but take a lead. And it's a double-digit lead already. That is absolutely gross. It's a 12-second lead plus an orb for SpaceColonizer here in Eat My Shrapnel. So Firebroth has to mitigate the damage. These rockets are going to help. The exploding shrapnel is also going to help. Ooh, but that swirl, that was giving Firebroth some problems here. SpaceCo in great shape, should keep that 12-second lead intact.
Yeah, these rockets are going to be able to carry Firebroth pretty much almost to the end of Eat My Shrapnel. Interesting that he didn't get the feed. Normally what you want to do is try to hunt for the orb, but I guess it was an RNG money because there's the orb.
Got the orb right there, just what the doctor ordered. Should be able to stay afloat. It was a 2:03 for SpaceCo, and Firebroth has lost some time, unfortunately. Lost about a second. 2:16 is the time, but the good news is he did get his orb. Now he's got to keep it so that he avoids further damage. SpaceCo hasn't got any weapons to complement that orb, at least to start Total Carnage, and Firebroth has some Vitamin R. This could be his chance, Dino.
Absolutely, those rockets plus good fire lane so far. Like, he could still be seeing a very low tree if he just keeps this going. No more weapons though. I'll dry it up a little bit. I wonder if he's gonna be using that. Yeah, indeed he does, to clean up a little bit. Let's see what he got. But SpaceColonizer is not getting like pretty much anything.
No, he's not getting anything right now. This has been a tough room. I mean, he's kept the orb, and then he gets grenades on the feet, which not a good closer there. It's still going to be a lead of a 3:02, but what could have been for SpaceColonizers, he had a 2:03 going into that room. But when you have no weapons, it just works out that way sometimes. Meanwhile, Firebroth has picked up a couple of seconds. It is a 3:13, so he's cut it to 11 seconds now.
All right, and that's what you want to do if you didn't get the orb early enough. You gotta keep cutting a few seconds here, a few seconds there, and just give yourself enough of a chance to catch up on Mutoid Man.
Yeah, SpaceCo must have had some good fire lanes to keep that lead, because Firebroth definitely had the better drops. It was only able to gain 2 seconds on SpaceCo. Nice nuke there will take down both gunners, and he's got a spreader on the feet. Firebroth gets a foot, nothing to write home about, so he's just gonna have to focus on one gunner and try to dodge all the purple shirts here. He's doing a good job up to this point, but SpaceCo has a razor shield. He could further that lead.
Yeah, keeping nice control and rockets.
Then Firebroth loses his orb. So right now, SpaceCo looking real sharp here in game number 2. And look at this time here as he's got to finish off these Mr. Shrapnels. It is a 4:14, a definite PB chance here for SpaceColonizer. Let's see if he can get it.
Oh, absolutely. Can get like an 80-second mutoid, man. Probably even 90-second and still get a PV here. Which
I believe 90 seconds should do it, but that is not a good start as he gets a key.
Yeah, still gonna be able to have the bullbuster opportunity here. He nails it, and now he's gotta get that grenade. Okay, he gets it.
Just in time, very nice. He's looking for some spreaders now. Firebroth, meanwhile, still in tank trouble. That clock is ticking. It's more than a 30-second lead at this point. Does use the invulnerability to take out the Mr. Shrapnel, but he is 36 seconds back. Unfortunately, the drops have been pretty dry for SpaceCo. Does get a lobber here, so PB chance not looking so hot right now, but he's still going to keep his lead on Firebroth.
Yeah, still keeping a nice lead. Firebroth would like to see some spread to be able to try to catch up, because right now the lower train is just going to carry SpaceColonizer if this keeps going.
There's a lobber for both runners here. Not a great spot for the lobbers on SpaceCo's side. Firebroth just going to ignore the lobbers that are on the left side as Mutoid Man is blocking his way. He's going to need another drop here soon. It's an empty drop. Rockets for SpaceCo. Right now, he is sitting pretty. It's about a 2-form lead as Firebroth gets some grenades. SpaceCo is going to get some lobbers, as will Firebroth. So that lead is going to continue to stay afloat as the head pops off. It is a big lead right now. It's 2 full forms for SpaceCo.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if a single spare would be enough right now for Firebroth. But
Firebroth has gained some ground, but not much. It's final form time for SpaceCo. Firebroth needs a spreader right now because SpaceCo has a lobber, which if he can land all the shots, should finish the fight. This will do it if they won't. He's going to pick up that refill just in case, and he has another refill coming to him. And down goes Mutoid Man, and SpaceCo, another good, consistent game for him, is going to win game number 2 and take a commanding lead on triple match point Dino.
absolutely, and when it's a best of 3 and you're up 2-0, that's a prime spot to be able to take this. You can still even take a couple losses and just win one. And you're gonna take
tried his best, but unfortunately he had a disaster of a tank trouble there that put him behind the 8 ball. And even though he was able to keep up with him in the Mutoid Man fight, just not going to be enough. He is going to, I think, gain some time on Firebroth, as I think I said it was a 6:24. He'll end up with a 6:53. So he did gain about 5 seconds, but that was not nearly enough for Firebroth to take this one. So his back firmly against the wall here in this match.
Yeah, now if Firebroth wants to move on, like, he's gotta do a reverse sweep, which we have seen before. It's not easy though, but we have seen it before. Actually,
Indeed.
I remember 40 Watt pulled one up against Firebroth before.
Yeah, and that was a best of 7. And still to this day, Mr. Daniel, the only reverse sweep in a best of 7 match. That happened a couple of years ago when Firebroth took a 3-0 lead on the 3rd annual champion 40 Watt range, but then 40 Watt reeling off 4 straight. Still the only contestant to come back from 3-0 down. Both runners are ready. I'm going to count them down.
All right, let's see, what does the chat say? Do you guys think we're gonna be seeing Firebroth here trying to come back, trying to tie this up 2-2, or is SpaceColonizer gonna be taking this 3-0?
I'll tell you what, Firebroth's going to have to clean up his tank trouble there. I mean, he went into that match, into that room. It was pretty close, but everything just fell apart for him. SpaceCo got great drops. Don't get me wrong. Having great drops helps, but you can't rely on that in tank trouble. Let's see if Firebroth can make the adjustment, clean up his tank trouble, and make it much closer going into the Mutoid Man fight. Here we go, game number 3.
Game number 3, Arena 1, still the same strats, a little bit of the top door. Then Firebroth going down to the middle, trying to dodge that nuke. That nuke is not good if you get it at the start of the room. And SpaceColonizer is going to have an opportunity to try to close. Interesting that he just shoots one door, and he just pretty much ignores the other doors.
Yeah, and because of that, Firebroth's going to have the hole shot by quite a bit. A low 40 plays a mid 41, a 1.5 second lead for Firebroth. He's pretty much had the whole shots through these match, but you don't win the arenas on the first room, but you can get off to a bad start if you don't play well. Another first drop orb for SpaceColonizer. That's 3 for 3 that runners have had a first drop orb. We had Firebroth have 1. SpaceCo's had it the last 2, though.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy indeed. Like, pretty nicely done by SpaceColonizer getting that orb early on in all 3 games. That's what you want to see, especially if you're on a tournament match. Like, also if you're trying to catch for PV. And that's going to be able to get him a not so baity, but still pretty good.
Yeah, SpaceCo, I don't know what he was doing at the end of that room with that one last foot soldier, but he did lose some time there. He still has a 5.5 second lead, but that should have been about an 8 second lead or so.
Yeah, I think he thought there was a shrapnel right behind the one-ops counter, I suppose.
That could be the case as well, but yes, you're absolutely right. SpaceCo has had the first orb. He's had second drop, first drop orb. Doesn't get too much better than that. So here we go with Eat My Shrapnel and a 5.5 second lead for SpaceCo. Has the room under control. They both have the room under control. Could come down to who has a better weapon to finish, but it is SpaceCo with a 2:05. Firebroth, that should be the last one. It's a 2:10, so gained about a half second at Firebroth. It's down to a 5 second lead now.
Yeah, 5 second going to total carnage, especially with a dead like that. Firebroth's opportunity to recover here and potentially even take the lead. He's just gotta be careful with that orb.
Yeah, this is Firebroth's big chance here, Dino. He is down 2 games to nothing, but he does have the orb, and SpaceCo does not have a replacement, so we should see the lead flip, provided that Firebroth keeps the orb healthy, because right now SpaceCo's getting nothing, and Firebroth loses his orb too!
Yeah, I think
a critical mistake. Does get rockets on the feet that should help him, and he gets a replacement. He just dodged a massive bullet, Dino.
Oh, indeed, he did a little bit of a breather. I don't think it was so much of a trouble because he got rocket while he lost the orb. So it was technically not bad, and he's probably gonna be able to close his door with that smart bomb. Not quite.
Not quite, no. But we'll see if he's gonna have the lead. Yeah, he will have the lead with a 3:09. The drops at least are keeping SpaceCo afloat. We may see the swirl of shame.
Yeah, there it is.
So that's a double-digit lead now for Firebroth, just like that. Losing that orb quick means a better than 20-second swing. We're talking a 17-second swing. It's a 3:26 for SpaceCo. I mean, a 17-second deficit. That's a 22-second swing. I can maths.
I don't ask me to math, especially not in English.
Not a problem. So a 17-second lead, but Firebroth in some trouble here. He is swarmed, and yeah, there was no way he was keeping that orb. He got absolutely surrounded. Then he gets clubbed down. He could still get to this orb, though.
Yeah, nice grab right there. Now he's gonna have to try to go to the middle. And it was a pretty dire situation. Somehow he ends up, I mean, still not in the middle, but he's trying to.
He's trying.
Oh,
it picks him off before he could get the razor shield. That would have been a great get. But unfortunately for SpaceCo, he's not able to take advantage of Firebroth's problems here in tank trouble because he's just not getting any weapons and he's not getting a replacement orb. And there was still a gunner up front before finally able to get a gunner down. But this has been a disaster for both of these runners here in game number 3. I think they're both feeling the pressure.
Indeed, like pretty similar trouble, but now there's a rocket, and on the other side there's rocket with a shield, so he's gonna be able to keep them pretty nice here. And Firebroth's gonna be going out with a 4:45. He's probably not gonna be super happy with that time. However, he's on the lead, and SpaceColonizer is making a lot of time.
He just shaved 9 seconds off of that lead. It was a 17-second lead. It's down to 8. And a lobber to start, and that's too early for grab because now he was able to pick it off. Ooh, that could have been disastrous for Firebroth.
It could have been indeed. Oh, and Spirit to start. He's gonna be able. Oh, that's way too close. Oh, yeah. Could have gotten a little bit more manuals probably with those vibrations, but still some nice manuals. And I don't know if he even took the lead with those manuals. Yeah, indeed he did.
Close. Very close. They both have the first arm popped off. Yeah, it is going to be a SpaceCo lead because Firebroth has no weapon right now. Where is it? It's lobbers and parking on it. Oh, the block. 4, 3, 2, 1. Same level 3. Oh my goodness. Firebroth getting hosed here by Mutoy Man. SpaceCo, that lead increasing as he's got the lobbers now looking for the ribcage to be exploding, and that lead is about a 4.5 right now, I'd say approximately for SpaceCo, as that second arm has not popped off yet for Firebroth. Now it does, but now the weapons have dried up on SpaceCo's side. Where is it?
Yeah, now me too. Oh, and there's
a
an amazing spreader opportunity here. Is it gonna get blocked? No, it is not blocked.
He almost did. He almost did. Just got to it in time. This is what Firebroth needed. For SpaceCo still, and here's a spreader chance for SpaceCo.
Oh, that's gonna be huge if he gets it. That's probably gonna be able to carry him almost down to the victory.
An empty drop for Firebroth. This could do it for SpaceCo, depending on the transfer damage, but he does get run over. And he won't get to that grenade, so a chance for Firebroth to gain some ground. Final form for him. Yeah. And he's got the weapon advantage.
I'm not sure he got so much transfer damage. This is gonna be extremely close right now.
And it's an empty drop for SpaceCo. If this rocket isn't enough, it's not enough.
Oh.
Will the rockets be? It's enough for
wow.
Firebroth. He gets it. Ho! Firebroth stays alive by the skin of his teeth. The rockets just enough for Firebroth. They weren't enough for SpaceCo. Unbelievable. It's a 7 flat for Firebroth, and SpaceCo not able to put it away. Firebroth sees a game number 4. Wow, what a wild finish that was, Dino.
That was indeed crazy, and that's why we love Smash TV. There's a lot of things that can happen regardless of who's got the lead at the very end. Craziness can happen in Muted Man. And now we're 2-1 here, and Firebroth is like, well, I'm still here. I'm not going to no. Let's have a fight tonight.
Absolutely, indeed. About a 9 1/3 second difference. Seconds. Holy smokes. I tell you what, though, tank trouble, though, once again, giving trouble to Firebroth. It enabled to get the SpaceColonizer to get back into this race. And for much of the fight, had the lead, but Firebroth got a well-timed spreader, was able to get to final form, and just had enough weapons to finish the job. SpaceCo just a little bit short on that final rocket clip, and Firebroth winning game number 3, but it is still SpaceColonizer on double match point.
Yeah, I agree. Even if SpaceColonizer did got a little bit of trouble right there on tank trouble, like Firebroth definitely needs to clean it up so that there's like a little bit more of a chance. Like, I don't know, things can get tied up here, but that tank trouble definitely has to be cleaned.
Yeah, it wasn't a great tank trouble for either, but the damage was better on SpaceCo's side without the orb. If both runners are ready, I'm going to count them down.
All right, so we got them counted down, so we should be starting here pretty shortly. We're gonna be seeing game number 4 between SpaceColonizer and Firebroth. Score 2-1 on SpaceColonizer favor. If he wins this game, he moves on. If Firebroth wins this game, series is tied off for a final game number 5.
You would love to see that in the studio audience, and I know we would love to see it here in the commentator's booth, but of course SpaceCo wants to get the job done right here in game number 4. Here we go.
Here we go, indeed. Still the same strategies. We don't see much changes. It's pretty interesting also when you do a similar strategy, you get pretty similar drops. We see that smart bomb right on the middle of the screen again for Firebroth, and then we see that smart bomb again for SpaceColonizer.
Timed it perfectly again, but once again, as it's pretty much been all match, it's another Firebroth hole shot with a low 40 versus a mid 41. I'll call it about a 2 1/4 lead for Firebroth, but anybody's game at this point. Let's see what the opening drop is going to be for both of our runners. Firebroth's opener is an invulnerability. Another opening orb. That's 3 in a row. He's at a first drop orb, Dino. Wow.
I don't know. I want to see these games again a little bit because it almost looks to me like SpaceColonizer knows what he's doing because he even stops shooting for like a second or two and then he gets an orb. So I don't know if he's got a little bit of magic down there that we need to know about it.
Maybe he does. I mean, let's face it, SpaceCo is the world record holder in Jaws, and that game is nothing but manipulations if you've ever seen the speed run before. And this is a significant lead for SpaceColonizer. It was 121 plays 130. It's a 9-second lead, and Firebroth has no orb either.
Oh, but then SpaceColonizer loses it, gets too close to one of those grunts.
Yeah,
and he's gonna have to catch one.
Yeah, he's gonna have to get a replacement here. This is gonna at least keep Firebroth, and yeah, he's going to start to bleed time here, but Firebroth's not really getting any weapons either, so there's going to be some damage. It's just what kind of damage are we going to see on both runners? The rockets are definitely going to help Firebroth, though.
All right. So still not much damage done. Okay, no, never mind. He's now losing time.
Yeah, SpaceColonizer lost a lot of time. It's a 2:11. Firebroth has cut it to 3 seconds, so neither player has an orb, and Firebroth has a full clip of rockets to start total carnage. This is going to be a real battle of attrition, potentially, Dino.
Indeed it is. Rockets is going to be able to carry him just enough, but there's the orb right now for SpaceColonizer, and then he loses it again.
Man, some sloppy arena gameplay from both runners, but SpaceCo feeling the yips, methinks. I mean, he has a 2-0 lead, lost that third game, and things starting to kind of reel here for SpaceCo, but Firebroth still without an orb.
Indeed, and now rockets for SpaceColonizer. That's going to help after the spreader. It's going to be able to...
And here's an orb for Firebroth. This is his chance.
Indeed, and paired up with a spreader, that's pretty good. Rockets are still good, but now without drops, and there's the orb. Is he going to be able to hold on to it?
He does get it, but can he hold on to it? He's made some careless mistakes in this match. These last 2 games especially. He will keep the orb, but we do have a change in leadership. It's a 3:18, plays a high 3:21. I'm going to call it a 3.5-second lead for Firebroth. They both do have the orb. Neither player has a weapon, so this opening drop here going to be crucial for both of our runners.
Yeah, they got to take these 10-15 seconds or so to just take a little bit of a breather, because here comes tank trouble, and they got to clean it up if they want to have a little bit more of a better chance at taking the victory in this game.
I agree with that. The opening drop is a foot bad opener there for Firebroth. Let's see what SpaceCo ends up getting. Rockets, a huge swing. SpaceCo has the lead. And Firebroth gonna have to resort to going corner strats, but he has some rockets. Can he get to them?
Okay, he's trying.
Very nice.
Yeah, let's go.
Oh,
and the grenade on the feet.
But nice job, and he gets a breather, a much-needed breather there for Firebroth with a nuke right there. So anybody's game right now. So both of them having a better tank trouble up to this point. SpaceCo with the late Razor Shield, good grab right there. Good grab of the rockets for Firebroth as well. So very close for both runners here. We'll see who's going to come out on top here, and it is going to be SpaceCo getting the lead back with a 4:33, but Firebroth is right there. Hold on to your hats, folks. It's a 4:37. It's a 4-second difference. That's less than an empty drop, Dino. This is going to get intense.
Yeah, 4-second lead is nothing when you're going into muted, man. There's a lot of things that can happen here. Starting with Bullbuster for both. No SpaceColonizer. Let's see Firebroth if he gets it.
He got zapped right there. Let's see if Firebroth can get the... Oh, no. Does not get the ball buster, so both players miss out. But it is a SpaceCo lead. We'll be able to get to these lobbers. And Firebroth is blocked from those grenades, so SpaceCo going to start to get that lead pumping here. Lobbers for Firebroth should be able to get it. Yes. But it's about a 4.5 lead right now for SpaceCo. Firebroth in trouble.
Firebroth in trouble indeed. There's no arms anymore for SpaceColonizer, and he might be popping up the shits here real quick. First arm goes right there for Firebroth, but that's a very unfortunate snipe for him.
That could be a fatal snipe right there, Dino. But there's a spread. He could still get to it if he's not.
I think he's gonna get it.
Get to it? Yes,
yeah,
he will get to it. Oh, that could have been disastrous. And here's an invulnerability. Oh my. This is the break that Firebroth needed. He's back in this, but the head is popped off. Is it too little too late for Firebroth? He gets his head popped off, so he's back in this, but SpaceCo's still gonna have the lead. Here's a spreader.
Oh, I think that's the final nail in the coffin, because he's gonna be able to get that one, and he's gonna get a lot of transfer damage here.
Yeah, it was. He only had a few shots left. Final form. If he got transfer damage, this game is over. And it is. SpaceColonizer. Firebroth tried to come from behind, but it was just too little too late, and SpaceCo is going to win the match 3-1 and advance to the next round to take on Hefe, man. Firebroth gave it his best shot, but it just wasn't enough.
Well, GG's right there for Firebroth. He played good enough, but it was not enough for taking a victory into SpaceColonizer, who's going to be moving on And yeah, against Heaven, man, that's gonna be an interesting match.